We're back on a Sunday night, and it took much of the day to get the rain out of the way. It's finally offshore on the radar, and we can now move on to the week ahead, which is going to be downright beautiful most of the time. We'll talk about that, the tropics, such as they are, and much more on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast by shopping our referral link on Amazon. It's pinned to the top of the chat board. It's on the description of this podcast on YouTube. You don't need to spend any money out of your own pocket other than whatever it is you're buying from Amazon. Just click on the link, do your shopping. Amazon sends us some coin for sending you there, and everything will be fine and dandy, and we can keep this live version of the podcast commercial free. And we thank those of you, because a number of you have done your shopping on Amazon. And Tempest by WeatherFlow, get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link for this is also on the descriptor to this podcast on YouTube. Use the coupon code Joe Rayo.
Summer 2025, Joe Schiaffi.
Because if you do, you will get
10% off.
Right, exactly. I just want to say one thing right off the top of the bat this weekend. As we talked last week about the fact that some of the models were revving up that tropical wave into a major hurricane, and they kept pointing out that the European kept wiping it out, and it was hilarious, Joe, because I was watching the tropical weather outlook. So I think it was on Friday into Saturday, and they went from 90% to 60% to 30% to 0 chance. And this should be, and it won't be, by the way, this should be a lesson to those who post 360-hour maps of the models on social media, because it's always better to just wait for something to develop first before you go off the deep end. But it doesn't matter. When the next one appears, they'll be back to doing the same thing over again.
They never learn, do they?
Well, it's not a question of learning. They don't care. They just don't care. They are, all they're interested in is getting their clicks, getting engagement, making some money out of it. So it doesn't make a difference to them whether there's truth, whether it's truth or if it's fantasy land. For them, it's as long as the model does it, we're going to put it out there. So they have no integrity, and they just don't care about the regular people who don't need to be panicked about something in a 2-week time frame. And pretty soon it's going to be snow maps time, so those are coming.
Yes, I can hardly wait. The cheeks of my tush are clapping with joy.
Yes, they are. They should clap continuously.
Yes.
You have your own parade. So,
and I'd like to point out to Mr. Contino, who said, well, you see, Joe Rayo was off. He said 72 to 79 on Saturday. And I'd like to point out to Mr. Contino that, yes, indeed, the temperature along the sound shore of Westchester yesterday peaked at around 82 degrees at approximately 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And yet then in came the clouds, in came the precipitation, and the temperature just 2 hours later was down to 73 degrees. So given the fact that, I said back on Thursday that you had to be very careful, that it was difficult to put up specific numbers or temperature numbers because depending upon how much sunshine you got, you could either see the temperatures go way, way, way up, or if it stayed rather cloudy, it could stay down. I said a few days earlier a temperature of 86. Well, guess what? It got to about 86 here in Putnam Valley yesterday.
And he was criticizing you when you originally put out that said 86 back on Tuesday or Wednesday.
I said 86. Then I said, well, then we may have the clouds and the precipitation. I went to a 72 to 79 degree spread. As I said yesterday at the Sound Shore, it got to about 80, 81, and then 2 hours later, it was down in the low 70s. A very difficult forecast. And for, somebody to just merely, you think that there are smart people on this show that watch us, Joe, who understand the vacillations and tribulations and making a
Well,
forecast.
Joe,
Well,
cut. You
no,
got.
you've got people. No, but hold on. You've got people who are pointing to a specific range in temperature and saying, "Oh, he went high yesterday, and now he's going low today, and he's going to," and not taking into account how difficult it can be sometimes in situations like what we had yesterday with an approaching squall line, an area of fair weather and sunshine out just out ahead of it that brought the temperatures up. And I said in a disclaimer on Thursday, I said, well, it can go either way, depending upon how much sun we get or how much cloud cover we get. But still, you have to have the people out there the day after saying, well, you see, I told you he went too low. I told you he did this. And, I'm getting quite fed up with this
Well,
type of activity.
I would just. I listen. I would just say cut him a little bit of slack because he's been inhaling sewage fumes all week because his septic tank backed up.
No, well,
I
it's
hear you.
amazing to me that I put up with a lot of this, and I'm sure you did too, Joe, for all of those years we were on television and radio. And to put it in plain English, some people just don't get it, no matter how many times you
Well,
go out there.
they're just looking for you to make a mistake. I mean, we have the well, so and so said. Why are you saying this? Because so and so is saying that. That that's all over the chat board every day. I get a rundown from one particular person. It's not everybody, but one or two people about what this one said and that one said. And no matter how many times I say I don't care, okay, I could watch these people from here. I could just go on Amazon Prime and I could pull up every station I want anywhere in the country. If I wanted to watch the New York weather stations, I do that. I haven't done that in decades. Okay, I could care less what anybody's doing. I
And
could
here's
care
another
less
thing.
what Bernie Rayno is saying.
Here's another thing that got my hackles up, and this is the on social media. Today was the day of a total eclipse of the moon,
Oh, the
and
blood
all I
moon.
saw all I saw all over social media was the total eclipse of the moon, the blood moon. This is going to be spectacular and thing. And meanwhile, how stupid are some of these people? Some of the people who posted this stuff. Did you look at the times? Did you look at the specific circumstances? The total eclipse was only visible in the eastern hemisphere. When it was taking place during the afternoon hours today, we had no view of it because we were on the wrong side of the earth. Did that stop anybody from going online and posting and telling everybody and urging it? Joe, there are a lot of people right now at this moment who are waiting for it to get dark and are saying, I hear there's going to be a total eclipse of the moon. There's going to be the blood moon tonight. And they're going to step outside and say, what the heck? Why am I not seeing what but they said there was going to be an eclipse,
I know.
as Forrest Gump said, stupid is as stupid does. Come on, if you're gonna promote something, and I'm all for promoting astronomical events, but before you do it, would you take a look at the specifics and the numbers and the times and everything before you start going on social media and alerting thousands of people, everybody on your list? Hey, there's going to be, it was and it was driving me crazy looking on my phone and watching all this stuff pop up about the blood moon tonight, the eclipse of the moon
What's the next moon, by the way? Since we now, they're obsessed with naming every full moon. What's the next one? Is it the harvest moon?
the harvest moon this year comes in October, believe it or
Okay.
not.
And then the next one's and then the hunter's moon.
The hunter's moon, yeah, and
Right, which of course people for the ethical treatment of animals will be opposed to us, that it's named the hunter's moon. It should be the vegan moon. And then what's after that one?
well, normally when you have the harvest moon in September and the hunter's moon in October, the November moon is the beaver moon.
We're going to leave. We're not even going to go down that particular road. Okay,
Okay,
we're going to just
all right.
leave that there, and just transition to saying hello to everybody on the chat board, and for those of you who lurking in the background, welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show. We're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. But if you're in the Eastern Hemisphere, that would be Monday through Friday at 7:35 p.m. on the other side of the. If you're on the other side, we have a huge audience on the other side of the date line. So subscribe to my YouTube channel, turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. And of course, if you like the show, then by all means, hit the like button. I basically have said that there's probably not going to be, certainly no rain for the work week. Um, Probably through the weekend, although got to be maybe a little bit careful for late Sunday, depending on how that high sets up and whether there's some kind of inverted trough extending down the Appalachians into the southeast. But other than that, I mean, this is really just a long stretch, another long stretch of nothing as far as adverse weather is concerned. And in fact, at least for much of the eastern half of the United States, with the exception of Florida, which is probably going to be the only place where you're going to have rain pretty much every day. Maybe not maybe it won't be nonstop, but it will be showery and thundery, and there will be some heavy rains for the next week to 10 days over Florida. Everybody else is going to be pretty much on the dry side.
Well, now, are we going to start in now on the with the tropical with the GFS now, proclaiming that sometime around the 19th of this month, which is a full week from this Friday, that we're going to have a hurricane, come crashing into the Gulf Coast, or are we going to lay off on that for a while?
Well, that's the one thing. The way the overall pattern is, though, that I notice is that pressures are going to be abnormally low in the southern half of the Gulf of Mexico and down into the Caribbean. So, if anything tropical is going to happen, that's going to impact the United States, it probably would have to happen there. And but again, I've been using the idea that until the Europeans start showing stuff, I'm not going to get too worked up. And the GFS has been showing this sort of, lower than normal pressures and something trying to spin up down in the Caribbean and moving into the Gulf of Mexico. But I wouldn't, I'm not going to lay any kind of confidence on anything like that until I see the European doing the same thing.
Well, whatever the European does, whatever the GFS does, if it's within 3 or 4 days, then it's worth promoting if you think that it's going to have a say in the mainland United States. But if you go
Right.
like 10 and 12 days out, and again with this thing, which everybody was already making reference to, dangerous Gabrielle is coming, that kind of stuff, and we know
Yeah,
now that pretty well is like a balloon that lost a lot of its air very quickly.
it
You
sure
just
did.
you just can't. It's been a very interesting hurricane season, Joe. We're actually below normal at this point in time for tropical activity. That's not to say that we may get something later this month or in October, but it's if you're into hurricanes and tropical systems, it just is not working out so far for you, is it?
No, it's not. The watches and warnings map ain't a whole lot here. We've got our first frost advisories up uh, for central Pennsylvania, probably in the valleys there in central PA, because the nights are going to be cool over the next 3 nights across the Northeast and into the Mid Atlantic states. And also, we've got frost advisories up in parts of northern Michigan, northern Wisconsin, as well as northeastern Minnesota. So, this early trend of getting into some rather chilly air is continuing. And we've got dry air masses coming down out of Canada. The Atlantic is cut off, the Gulf is cut off, the old frontal boundaries are lying across Florida, and that's where all the action is. If you look on the loop tonight, finally the back edge of the clouds is clearing out of New Jersey, and skies have gone partly to mostly clear there. You should have cleared out, or if not, you're about to. And there's still clouds good in southeastern New England and back to Long Island, also in Virginia and the Carolinas. But to the west of there, you can see pretty tranquil and nice and clear for the most part across the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, the Northern Plains. We had the front push through here, so we've cooled off nicely today, only in the low 70s for highs, which was really good. and headed down into the 50s tonight, so I'm happy about that. Um, the By the way, the severe weather yesterday wasn't too shabby.
Well, it's interesting. I was at the Putnam Valley German Fest yesterday. Would you believe, Joe, we had maybe a couple of sprinkles?
And that
Meanwhile,
was
to
it.
the north, meanwhile, to the north of us, just to the north, up in Dutchess County, they issued a tornado warning. And
Yes.
to the south of us, across parts of Westchester and into portions of northern New Jersey, it was a wreck. I mean, my God, there was all kinds of action in terms of heavy rain, thunderstorms, gusty and damaging winds. It was, but for where we were here in this little section of southwestern Putnam County, and the ironic thing was that a lot of people, those people who came to the fair, to the Oktoberfest, people coming up to me saying, "So where's the rain? Where's the I? All I heard all day long was thunderstorms and everything else, and we had just really just a few light sprinkles. That was it." And I'm getting the backlash from that. And meanwhile, again, just a stone's throw away to the north and a stone's throw away to the south, it was like mayhem in the PM. So
Right.
sometimes you can't win, but I mean, but we did win in that we didn't have to deal with all of that for this event where we had hundreds of people come, and we had a lot of had a fun time. But again, it just goes to show you the way weather can sometimes set up, where you can get heavy duty stuff, and 5 miles down the road you can get hardly anything, and that's kind of like what we had yesterday.
Yeah, we'll see what the final rainfall totals, because I didn't, not counting today. When I looked this morning, it was most places got between 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half. It wasn't uniform. There was some an unevenness in there, but since a lot of areas did get a kind of a steady soaking rain this morning into the afternoon hours, uh, I'll be curious to see what the final numbers are when the Weather Service puts up their statement. The radar is still a little busy in southeastern New England. It's done over Long Island. It's done everywhere else to the west. We've got showers and a few thunderstorms in the coastal Carolinas. We've got patches of showers and thunderstorms throughout the state of Florida. Also on the Gulf Coast, between Corpus Christi and Houston, we're seeing, and also back to about Austin, we're seeing rain and some heavier downpours there. In the west, the central and northern Rockies, it's back to the I-25 and points east thunderstorm activity in Colorado, on up into Wyoming and Idaho and into Montana, and well up into Washington State. The Southwest today getting a little bit of a break. There's a few strands of showers and storms in parts of Arizona and into New Mexico, but nothing really all that impressive. The Storm Prediction Center's got a marginal risk in eastern Colorado, western Kansas, down into northwest Texas and northeastern New Mexico, and also the narrow part of the Oklahoma Panhandle. Tomorrow, it's south central and southwest Kansas to northwest Texas in the marginal risk zone. And that usually, in my mind, it's isolated severe thunderstorms, and no severe weather is being forecast anywhere Tuesday into Wednesday. Take a look at WPC, because it's not often that you see so much white, and white means no precip for the next 7 days. Now, there's a couple of hundredths being indicated for southeastern New England, down to about New York City and into New Jersey. I think what you're seeing there is the back edge of the stuff that was earlier, because now this forecast begins at 8 o'clock tonight. So maybe they left off a little bit of precip in for the immediate coast. But on the whole, we're looking at the next 7 days for a vast majority of the eastern part of the United States, back to the Mississippi River Valley. No precip. Uh, Florida, several, and in some cases more than several inches of rain over the next 7 days. The northern plains and back westward through the northern Rockies and the Pacific Northwest, we've got areas of 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half, but that's just about it. But uh, Fall, Joe, is known for its long, dry stretches and its long stretches of very nice weather. And we've been pretty much in this kind of pattern since about the 20th of August. It came early this year, and it looks like it's going to extend for a while.
It does indeed. It does indeed. However, Climate Prediction Center, and this is for all of you who are signaling that summer is over. Climate Prediction Center seems to be suggesting, though, that once we get past the midpoint of September, that the temperatures are going to start rising again, and we may even be in a pattern by later September of above normal temperatures. We'll see.
I'm
Uh,
I'm not I'm not overly convinced.
well, we'll see. You know, I know that on their they're highlighting for around the 14th or 15th of this month. That would be a week from Thursday. Um, they are suggesting excessive temperatures or dangerous temperatures for parts of the Ohio Valley and the Midwest. Now, what would that be? That would be 90 at this time of the year to get to 90 degrees. It's something that does not happen very often during the mid or latter part of September, but they do have an area in the nation's midsection into the Ohio Valley for potential excessive temperature, and this would be on the high side, not on the low side, not unusually cold temperatures. For again, not this week, but the following week. We'll see if all that pans out.
So what we have is our big Canadian high that is settling in to pretty much everybody east of the Rockies. The old frontal boundary that sets up and down the coast offshore and down across Florida into the Gulf of Mexico. And this is where the one area that's going to be dealing with occasional rounds of downpours and thunderstorms. I think the coastal Carolinas might be okay, but Central and South Florida in particular are going to be dealing with these waves of showers and storms for the upcoming week. Meanwhile, the first high goes into New England on Tuesday. We're still going to be on the cool side. Temperatures will probably start to go up a bit Wednesday and a bit more on Thursday. I think Thursday we could be back into the 80s. But there's a weak cold front. It's very hard to even see it, but there's a very weak cold front that's running east west from Maine westward back to, say, southern Michigan, Ohio. And that's because there's a big high that's building in eastern Canada. And that's going to be building down the coast. So the temperatures will probably come back down as the winds go northeast on Friday. But again, this is dry air for the most part. So it's looking good. And if you believe the European, the next chance of anything as far as showers are concerned, probably not until maybe late next Monday when another front comes through. And then there's more high pressure in the western lakes. Certainly looking at this, at least if you believe the European, Joe, it's hard to see through the 20th of the month any kind of warm up of significance. And even actually right through the 22nd, we're still dealing with a high to the north of us and an onshore flow. 16 days with no rain. I don't know. That doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't. And dry weather. Already, some of the leaves are coming down on some of the trees in the backyard, my backyard. I'm not sure whether or not that would be attributable to the lack of any precipitation in recent days, or whether or not the advancement of the fall season is just going to be a little quicker this year.
Tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 7 days. And by the way, just to go back to what you just said, uh, the climo for the month of August for much of the eastern part of the United States finished below norm, below average. I'm having a tough time talking tonight. So below average temperatures for the month of October, and as far as the summer is concerned, overall, at least for New York City is concerned, I don't even think it made the top 30. So there you go. Every time it hits 90, everybody goes off the deep end. Hurricane Kiko, 974 millibars, 110 miles an hour, category 2 at 18.1 and 145.5. It is forecast to weaken to a tropical storm and pass a fair distance north of the big island of the Hawaiian Islands. If it passes up there will be some effects as far as maybe coastal flooding because we do have moon issues. So there's that. And maybe there could be some showery activity that gets involved, but all the tropical storm warnings that Hawaii has up are for the coastal waters. They are not for the islands themselves. And I would suspect that a track like this um, is not going to be too big a deal, and then it just sort of marches along to the northwest from there and out into the open waters of the Pacific. And I think that's the only thing that's really going on as far as the tropics go. I just want to check the Eastern Pacific to see if there's anything. No, they don't even have another system. Uh, it, it, the Eastern Pacific was, we've got a couple of named storms in the last week. So if the development activity dies off in the Eastern Pacific, that might be a clue that it's about to pick up on the Atlantic side. We shall see. But there's nothing to me there where I didn't see anything of any real consequence other than what I mentioned earlier in the show about lower than normal pressures in the southern Gulf of Mexico and in the Caribbean. So that might be the one place you might want to look at a week from now and beyond if something's going to come out of that and kind of be part of that old frontal boundary. But that really is it at this point.
That really, and again, it's difficult. You were talking about the what your ideas were in terms of not supporting or not thinking that we were going to see warmer temperatures later on in the month. But again, the people who put these forecasts out in the Climate Prediction Center, that division of NOAA, are the ones that presumably are the experts in long range outlooks, and maybe they see something that you or I don't. But in any case, I'm just pointing
On the
out
other
that,
hand, we've caught them on the wrong side of things on more than one or two occasions.
well, when was the last time on the National Hurricane Center forecast, Joe? I mean, I was only, what, a few days ago that they had that area that supposedly was going to evolve into Gabrielle. 80% chance,
They
80%
went to
probability.
90. They
90,
went to
okay.
90.
And
And
now
f-
here we are on,
and
and here
four
we are
outlooks
now.
and four outlooks later they had it at zero.
I mean, here we are now. You're absolutely right. Now here on Saturday, Sunday, I should say. No activity expected for the next 7 days. I mean, like, when was that? When was the last time that happened?
There
I
was
don't know
so much
whether or not.
there's so much dry air right now in the tropics, and that seems to be the big issue. Across much of the tropical Atlantic, the Caribbean, a lot of dry air around. And they talked about it. They talked about it late last week about drier air that got entrained into it. And it just the models the GFS was way overzealous. The European caught on early by wiping any development out by the time it got to the Caribbean, and it wound up getting wiped out even faster than that. You could barely find it now. So there you go. Briller Jeopardy, I got it.
You got it. Okay.
Okay, so I got it. Uh, here we go. So, September highs, people. September highs. We'll start with Ganashville.
Nashville, September,
Ganashville in
average
Tennessee.
September highs. I'll say 84.
Ring the bell for yourself. Ring that bell. I want you to ring it and ring it and ring
I
it.
feel, I feel something today or this evening or whatever.
I got to tell you a funny story about that. Um, as soon as we get done with this, New Orleans. New Orleans.
Is that
Do
our, is our,
do
oh, so I thought you were
do
going to tell
do
the
do
story.
do 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 do. Do 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 do.
Now, what was that?
A hint?
A hint
Yes.
for New Orleans?
No, for the number. And Miss Fallerite got it, 88.
Oh, would that have something to do with WCBS?
Yes, I was humming the tune so that you would get 88 degrees.
Oh,
Hello?
it didn't sound like anything that I could remember from CBS.
The jingle from the late 70s. that we've played on this show several
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
times.
Well, the late 70s, it went like dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, boom, boom,
No,
boom,
no,
boom.
no, no, never mind. I'm not gonna. Let's move on. New York City.
Well, who knows New York City? I mean, I know people. There's certain individuals that criticize New York City temperatures, saying, look at Newark, look at everywhere else around, and New York always fell like a degree or two short of 90.
Well,
Something
if
is wrong with that. Something is wrong with that thermometer.
well, Christinapedia already got it with 76 and Adam Lowe. If they elect a socialist mayor, does that mean that we have to equalize the temperatures everywhere? We can't have sea breezes in we can't have sea breezes in the summer along the South Shore because everybody has to have the same temperature. Is that what we're doing?
I don't. I.
Orlando.
One day when we one day down the road, I'll have to tell the story about how I spent the night of the blizzard of '83, the February '83 megalopolitan storm from Washington to Boston. I'll have to tell you how I spent that on the air with Curtis Sliwa, who is now running for mayor in New York. It was Curtis Sliwa and his ex-wife Lisa on WABC radio, and I was on the air all night with them and your favorite Joe, the late great Alan B. Combs.
Oh
So
yes.
so so
Oh,
what's
I
on?
used to listen to him.
Yeah, well, they even had a show on television. He used to be on with Sean Hannity,
Yeah,
Hannity and Combs. Remember that one?
that's right.
Anyway, so
Or,
what's our
Orlando.
Orlando? Orlando. Well, if I recall correctly, Houston was 90 and Austin was 91. So Orlando can't be that far behind. I will say I won't go into the 90s, but I'll go 89.
Well, you should have said what Steve Lapointe, Rich Rothmansky, Harold Olson said, which was 90 degrees for Orlando. And
Huh.
Oklahoma City.
OKC, I will say blah, 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 blah. 87.
Now it's close. It's a little on the high side, but it is close. Let's see. Uh, Well, we got a few people getting, knocking on the door. And Latex Dreams and Kenny Salerno get it at 84. And Miss Fowlerite also at 84. Finally, the bonus tonight, Joe, Nantucket.
Nantucket. Um, dare I say perhaps in the 60s? No, I'm not going to dare. I'm not going to be that dare for that. I'll say 72.
No, it's too high. In fact, you should have dared.
Yeah,
You
I
should have
figured just
dared.
as much. I figured as much.
Maggie P, you're close at 70. And Frank Scalera, you're close at 68. So what does that mean, Mr. Rayo?
69?
69 for
Yeah.
Nantucket. So just a quick story, and then we're going to go. But but a quick story. So I went to Catholic school all my life, certainly through high school. Okay, and anyway, I've had long stretches where I've went to church on Sunday, and then I've had long stretches where I haven't gone to church, and I've been in this long stretch where I have not gone to church on Sunday. However, without getting too specific, with regards to the events of the last couple of weeks in the news, um, I just suddenly had this feeling and this need to go back to church. And I was in the church choir at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton in Centereach for 20 years as a tenor. So I went to church yesterday, Joe, at St. Francis of Assisi here in Blairsville. It's the only Catholic church within, the next Catholic church is about 27 miles to the west in the next town in Blue Ridge. A beautiful church. Uh, Really, the church is beautiful and the grounds are beautiful. It's very, 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 very nice. You go there and you feel good. So I joined the choir, and I actually told them last week that I asked to join the choir, and I joined the choir. So Saturday, Saturday, this past Saturday, I sang in my first mass in like 7 years. So I was really happy about that. But what was really weird, okay, for those of you who play Wordle, okay, for those of you who play Wordle, and I know Mrs. Rayo plays Wordle. I don't know if she played it
Yes.
today. Okay. Well, today's word, Joe, I'm going to say it now because it's almost midnight and the new one's going to come out soon. I was shocked. I got it in two, and today's word was tenor.
No.
So, you know, I like sometimes think that there are signs. You just have to sort of look for them. And sometimes they smack you in the back of the head. But I just thought it was really interesting that I sang as a tenor my first mass here yesterday, and today's word on Wordle was tenor. So
Yep.
there you go. Um, one can say that the Lord spoke to me through the New York Times. I'm not sure that that is indeed the case. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with everybody. So, on that particular note, I'm sure somewhere along the line, I'm going to get a comment. Maybe not from folks on not from the folks on the chat board, but in the replay, someone's going to have a problem with this. But we'll see, and I will take care of that in a big way. So, on that note, it is time to say goodnight. Everybody have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time, right, Joe?
We'll be here 7:35, and I'm sure all of you will be there too.
Okay. Ta ta.